welcome to Borderline Lives. I'm Rachel, and you know what that day means. It's Saturday. So it's Saturday, April 4th. We're finally in the month of April. That means Easter is tomorrow. So happy early Easter. Alright, so obviously you have guessed that this week's theme is Easter week because, Easter's coming up. And today I'm going to show you how to make an Easter basket cupcake. It's not really that hard. It's kind of easy, just a few ingredients, depending on what you want to use and what you don't. Alright, but some of the ingredients you need is obviously cupcake mix, icing, jelly beans. I use Starburst, red vines or Twizzlers, or if you like to go with something with sour, you can as well. Coconut, green food coloring, obviously a knife, and a plastic bag. Alright, so first you're going to start off with baking cupcakes. And you could use any type of cupcakes you want, just as long as it has that spring touch or Easter touch to it. For me, I use the funfetti, the springtime funfetti from Pillsbury, because I felt like that was very close to Eastery and kind of springy as well. So I use that, and then you're just going to go by how many minutes the cupcake mix goes. Unless you make your homemade, then good for you, because I'm too lazy and I don't like making homemade cupcakes. But I went with the box, so I went and did it for 21 minutes or whatever it said. So once you're done, you're going to let them cool off. And then after that, you're going to take your icing, alright, and then you're going to put in a few drops of the food coloring. Depending on how much icing you have will depend on how many food coloring drops you will use. I didn't use that much, so I only used 2 or 3 drops, and I got this color. It's a nice green color, so that would be your base. Alright, and if you want to make it more pastel, you could always add some yellow food coloring, but I'd rather just use green. And then you're just going to ice it a little bit. I already iced my cupcake. It's not that much. You're just going to do a little bit because it's just going to be your base. Alright, and then after that, you're going to take your coconut. I already have my coconut already made, so you just use as much coconut as you need. And then that'll depend on how much food coloring you're going to use. So I only had a little bit, so I only used 2 of the food coloring, 2 drops. And then you're just going to use a little bit of water. Again, depending on how much you use will depend on how much you will need to make sure. Because the thing is, the water will actually help coat it more and make it evenly. Alright? And then you're just going to shake it up. Alright, until it's the color that you want. Alright, and then you could always add more drops in if you need to. Alright, and then you're going to take the coconut and you're just going to sprinkle it over. Alright. Alright, you're going to try to get it all over. Alright, I'm going to finish this and I'll be back. Alright, so once you're done putting all the coconut on the cupcakes, you'll have something a little bit like this. It's okay if some falls off. You should have a little excess. Alright? And then you're going to start taking your jelly beans. Alright, use as how many you want. I'm probably going to use maybe 5. Let's see how much I can actually get on my cupcake. You're just going to take some. Alright, right now I only have 4 in my hands. Alright? But you're going to take the icing that you have a little left over, because there should be a little bit left over. And you're just going to take a little bit, depending on where you want, if you want on the bottom or the side. You're going to take it, put some on the jelly bean, and you're just going to lay it down. Alright. And just make it look pretty, however you want it. Alright. And that's mine. Okay, I was able to fit 5. Alright, next you're going to take the red vines. Or Twizzlers or whatever you use. Okay, if you do use red vines or Twizzlers, I do suggest that you try to cut it in half a little bit. Alright, because it'll be like this. I say cut it in half or just cut a little bit depending on how big your cupcake is. And then I say cut it again so it's in half. because it'll be easier to actually use and stick in. Alright, and then you're going to take your icing again, do a little bit at the ends. Alright, it helps stick in a little bit. Alright, and you're just going to press it down. Alright, see? Press it down in a little bit, and there you go. You have your little Easter basket. And then if you have any peeps or anything else you want to add, you can. I personally only have, let me get it. I have these toothpicks that I have, and I'm just going to use the Easter bunny one so it looks a little Eastery more instead of just having all eggs. So you just put it in somewhere. Alright, and then this is how it would be. I'll put it up closer. Alright. You can do a lot more if you want with it. You can use coconut. Personally, I don't like coconut, but my recipe does call for it because I do have family members who like coconut. But if you don't, you could just always use icing and make it look like a little bit grassy if you can. Just use something with a knife, or if you have the icing utensils, then you could do that as well. It's up to you. Alright, but that's it. Come back next week to see what theme we do. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Happy Easter.